Operation Deep Shadow. The quantum sensors embedded within Europa's ice shell picked up the signal first. It was faint, barely a whisper against the cosmic background radiation, but its regular pattern betrayed its artificial nature. Dr. Sarah Harrison's hands trembled as she reviewed the data for the fourth time in her undersea office at the Mariana Research Station. After 15 years of searching, humanity had finally detected proof of advanced alien civilization. But the content of the message chilled her to the bone. The signal contained military coordination protocols, invasion strategies, and most importantly, a target list. Earth was designated as Resource World 2174, scheduled for acquisition within the next 3 decades. Rather than panic or reveal the discovery to the public, the world's leaders made an unprecedented decision. Humanity would prepare in absolute secrecy. 25 years later, Commander Maya Chen stood at the viewport of Atlantis Prime, Earth's largest underwater city, watching robotic constructors assemble another Poseidon-class battleship. The massive vessel, over 3 kilometers in length, was just one of thousands hidden in the planet's oceanic depths. The water around her thrummed with activity as fabrication plants, shipyards, and research facilities worked tirelessly in humanity's greatest deception. Final systems check complete on the neural interface grid. Commander, reported Lieutenant James Rodriguez, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays floating before him. The entire fleet can be synchronized within 3 minutes of emergence. Maya nodded, her augmented vision overlaying tactical data across the underwater panorama. The aliens would arrive any day now, expecting to find a primitive civilization barely capable of lunar colonization. Instead, they would face the most advanced military force ever created by human hands. Status update from the Challenger Deep facility, called out Captain Sarah Way from her station. The quantum entanglement arrays are fully operational. All fleet elements will maintain instantaneous communication, regardless of enemy jamming attempts. The innovations born of necessity had transformed humanity. When they realized conventional space-based shipyards would be detected, engineers had turned to the oceans. The crushing pressures and electromagnetic shielding properties of seawater became advantages, hiding their work from prying eyes above. Every failed space program and primitive satellite launch had concealed bleeding-edge sensor platforms and defense systems. Commander, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice carried an edge of urgency. Deep space arrays are tracking multiple fold space ruptures at the edge of the solar system. The Krylaxian fleet has arrived. Maya straightened her uniform, touching the neural interface port at the base of her skull. Around the world, in similar underwater command centers, other fleet commanders were doing the same. Humanity had spent 25 years preparing for this moment. Begin Operation Deep Shadow Protocol, she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Maintain emissions control. Let them approach thinking we're defenseless. When they cross the orbital line of Mars, we'll show them how humanity greets uninvited guests. Throughout Earth's oceans, millions of crew members boarded their vessels. The ships themselves were marvels of human ingenuity. Hulls crafted from metamaterials that could transition from liquid to solid states, quantum computers that could process tactical data faster than thought, and weapons that harnessed the fundamental forces of reality. The deception had been total. Every piece of human technology visible to space had been carefully designed to appear decades behind their actual capabilities. The few human ships in orbit were intentionally primitive, bait to draw the Krylaxians into their trap. Even now, diplomatic channels were filled with humanity's apparently fearful responses to the approaching fleet. Maya watched the tactical display as the alien armada crossed Neptune's orbit. The Krylaxian ships were impressive. Massive constructs of exotic alloys and energy fields. Under different circumstances, she might have admired their engineering. But they had come as conquerors, expecting to find sheep ready for slaughter. Instead, they would face humanity's full fury. All fleet elements report ready, Captain Way announced. Quantum synchronization stable. Weapons primed but cold. Stealth systems at maximum efficiency. The aliens had no idea that Earth's oceans concealed vast cities and industrial complexes. They couldn't know that every primitive human satellite contained advanced sensor suites that had been studying their technology for years. Most importantly, they didn't realize that humanity had developed technologies that their science had never dreamed possible. "Send to all commands," Maya ordered. "The countdown begins when they cross Mars. Prepare to surface on my mark. Let's show these would-be conquerors why you should never judge a civilization by its orbital infrastructure." As she spoke, the quantum displays showed the Krylaxian fleet decelerating, their formation spreading out to begin what they thought would be a simple subjugation of a primitive world. Their scans would show exactly what humanity wanted them to see: a planet with minimal defenses and outdated technology. Maya allowed herself a small smile. In a few hours, the galaxy would learn a vital lesson about humanity. They weren't primitive, they weren't weak, and they certainly weren't defenseless. They had simply been patient, preparing in secret for this very day. The oceans of Earth held humanity's greatest achievement, a fleet of over 1 million warships equipped with technology decades ahead of anything in known space. And soon, very soon, those waters would part to reveal the true face of human military might. Commander Chen touched the neural interface port once more, feeling the vast network of minds and machines that connected the fleet. "Send to all commands. This is why we wait in shadow. This is why we built in secret. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not bow, will not break, and will not surrender. Today, we rise." Around her, the command center hummed with controlled activity as humanity's greatest military force prepared to surface. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon, the oceans would boil with emerging warships, and the galaxy would learn exactly what humanity was capable of when threatened. The Krylaxian fleet drew closer, their sensors probing Earth's apparently primitive defenses. They had no way of knowing that beneath the waves, humanity's trap was about to spring. They would learn, as would any future would-be conquerors, that the most dangerous predators are often those that wait patiently in the depths, biding their time until the perfect moment to strike. The Vanguard's arrival. Supreme Commander Krell of the Krylaxian expansion fleet stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main view screen. His secondary hearts beat with anticipation as his fleet approached their latest conquest. The intelligence reports had been clear. This Earth was a primitive world, barely capable of maintaining a few orbital stations. Another species that will learn to serve the Empire. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vex, observed with characteristic arrogance. Their response to our arrival was practically dripping with fear. Krell's facial tendrils twitched in agreement, but something about the situation nagged at his warrior's instincts. In 3 centuries of expansion, he had never encountered a species that accepted their arrival with such calm. The humans had requested negotiations, their messages indicating appropriate terror, yet their orbital facilities continued normal operations. "Launch deep scan probes," Krell ordered. "I want every centimeter of this world examined before we begin the subjugation process." In her underwater command center, Commander Maya Chen watched the alien probes descend through Earth's atmosphere. The deception was working perfectly. Each probe would detect exactly what humanity wanted it to see: scattered military bases with outdated equipment, primitive nuclear submarines, and absolutely nothing of their true capabilities. "The Krylaxian diplomatic shuttle is requesting permission to land," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. "They're insisting on meeting at their chosen coordinates." Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Grant permission. Admiral Hassan's team is ready to play their part." The diplomatic meeting would take place in Geneva, carefully staged to reinforce the illusion of Earth's technological inferiority. Every human representative had been chosen and trained for their role in this elaborate deception. High above, Krell reviewed the probe data with mounting frustration. Everything confirmed their intelligence assessments: primitive kinetic weapons, basic fusion technology, and rudimentary spaceflight capabilities. Yet something felt wrong. The humans were too organized, too unified in their response to first contact. Supreme Commander, Vex interrupted his thoughts. The diplomatic team reports the humans are unusually composed for a species facing superior forces. They're requesting technological exchange programs and cultural integration periods. Krell's combat instincts screamed warnings. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered a species that responded to imminent subjugation with bureaucratic proposals and requests for cultural exchange. Back beneath the Pacific Ocean, Maya received updates from surveillance systems hidden within Earth's seemingly primitive satellites. The Krylaxian fleet was maintaining high orbit, their formation suggesting uncertainty. They had expected panic, chaos, perhaps even immediate surrender. Instead, they faced maddeningly calm humans who insisted on following diplomatic protocols. Commander, Captain Wei's voice carried a note of amusement. The Krylaxians have launched another wave of stealth probes. Should we allow them to accidentally detect some of our decoy facilities? Maya nodded. Let them find a few underground bases. Nothing too impressive, just enough to make them think they've discovered our secrets. The game of shadows continued for 3 days. The Krylaxians grew increasingly frustrated with human delays and evasions, while Earth's hidden fleet remained poised for action. Every scan, every probe, every diplomatic meeting reinforced the illusion of a primitive yet suspiciously organized species. In his command chamber, Krell finally lost patience. Enough. These humans mock us with their pretense of diplomacy. Prepare the fleet for combat operations. We will show them the price of defying the Empire. The order spread through the Krylaxian fleet. Weapon systems powered up, and invasion forces prepared for deployment. They expected the humans to panic when they realized diplomacy had failed. Instead, Earth's representatives simply expressed deep regret at the breakdown in negotiations. Maya received the alert she had been waiting for. The Krylaxians were mobilizing for attack. Around the world, hidden sensors tracked every alien vessel as they moved into assault formation. The moment of revelation approached. All fleet elements report ready, Rodriguez announced. Quantum synchronization at optimal levels, waiting for the enemy to cross the commitment line. The waters around Atlantis Prime vibrated with suppressed energy as thousands of warships prepared to surface. Similar scenes played out in ocean depths around the globe as humanity's hidden might stirred from its long slumber. Krell gave the order to begin the invasion, his fleet descending toward Earth's atmosphere in an attack pattern that had succeeded on 17 other worlds. Let us show these primitives the futility of resistance, he declared. In that moment, Maya felt almost sorry for the aliens. They had no idea they were flying into the most elaborate trap in human military history. Send to all commands, she ordered. Prepare to execute Operation Deep Shadow. The enemy has committed their forces. Soon they will learn why humanity's oceans have been off-limits to their probes. The Krylaxian fleet entered the atmosphere in waves, their sensors detecting only scattered defensive responses. They prepared to begin their standard conquest protocol, confident in their overwhelming technological superiority. They had no way of knowing that beneath Earth's oceans, final preparations were being made for humanity's greatest military revelation. The waters were about to part, and with them, the veil of deception that humanity had maintained for a quarter century. Maya touched her neural interface, connecting with fleet commanders around the world. All units, synchronize emergence protocols. When they cross the final threshold, we will show the galaxy why you should never mistake patience for weakness. The trap was set. The enemy was committed, and in the depths of Earth's oceans, humanity's hidden fleet waited for the signal to reveal itself to an unsuspecting galaxy. Rising tide. Supreme Commander Krell watched with satisfaction as his fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere. The humans' pitiful orbital defenses had already been neutralized, and their ground-based weapons were laughably primitive. Victory was assured, just as it had been on countless worlds before. All invasion forces in position, Sub-Commander Vex reported. Their military installations are targeting us with nuclear weapons. His tone carried the contempt of a superior being faced with primitive technology. Then everything changed. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Commander Maya Chen gave the order humanity had spent 25 years preparing to execute. All fleet elements, commence Operation Deep Shadow. Rise and reveal. The ocean's surface began to churn worldwide. At first, the Krylaxians assumed it was a result of their atmospheric entry. Then their sensors began screaming warnings as millions of square kilometers of water suddenly displaced, revealing something impossible. By the eternal void, Vex whispered, his facial tendrils going pale. Supreme Commander, we're detecting ships. Thousands, tens of thousands. Krell stared in disbelief as the tactical display updated. Where there had been empty ocean moments before, now vast armadas of warships rose from the depths. Their designs were like nothing he had ever seen. Smooth, organic shapes that seemed to flow rather than move. Hulls that shifted between solid and liquid states. Maya felt the neural interface sync with thousands of other commanders as Earth's true military might reveal itself. The Krylaxians had expected to find a primitive species with barely 100 spacecraft. Instead, they faced over 1 million warships, each incorporating technologies that had been developed in secret beneath the waves. All ships, execute attack pattern tsunami, she ordered. Show them what humanity has been building while they thought us weak. The first wave of Earth's fleet engaged with devastating effect. Ships that had seemed to be simple metal constructs suddenly flowed like liquid mercury. Their hulls were forming to present minimal target profiles, while generating weapons from their very substance. Quantum-entangled targeting systems coordinated their attacks with perfect precision. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, chaos reigned as reports flooded in. Supreme Commander, their weapons, they're passing through our shields as if they don't exist. Their hulls are absorbing our energy weapons without damage. This is impossible. Their technology surpasses our own by decades. Krell watched in horror as his mighty fleet, the pride of the Krylaxian Empire, was systematically dismantled by weapons and defenses that defied known physics. The humans had not just hidden their ships, they had concealed entire branches of scientific advancement. All commands, execute maneuver undertow. Maya ordered as the battle unfolded. Squadrons of Earth vessels demonstrated capabilities that the Krylaxians had thought impossible. Ships phased through enemy fire, their metamaterial hulls redirecting energy attacks back at their sources. Quantum-locked weapon systems struck with perfect accuracy across impossible distances. The waters of Earth's oceans continued to roil as more ships emerged. From the Atlantic depths rose carriers that launched swarms of autonomous fighters. The Indian Ocean revealed massive battleships whose main guns fired projectiles accelerated by contained singularities. From the Arctic waters came specialized vessels that manipulated gravitational fields as easily as ancient ships had used the wind. This is Commander Maya Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. She broadcast on all frequencies. For 25 years, we studied your expansion, analyzed your tactics, and prepared our response. You thought our oceans were a limitation. Instead, they were our greatest advantage, hiding places where we could build and innovate beyond your sight. The Krylaxian fleet attempted to regroup, but Earth's forces had already anticipated their standard tactics. Every maneuver was met with a perfect counter, every strategy undone by technologies that had been specifically developed to defeat it. Impossible, Krell muttered as another wave of his ships fell to the humans' liquid metal projectiles. They were primitive. Their satellites, their space stations, all carefully crafted deceptions. Maya's voice came again. Every primitive satellite contained advanced sensor suites. Every failed space mission deployed cloaked defense platforms. While you watched our space program and sneered, our true advancement was happening in the one place you never thought to look thoroughly, our oceans. Earth's ships moved with fluid grace, their formations flowing like ocean currents. Quantum communications enabled them to coordinate instantly across vast distances, while their metamaterial hulls adapted in real time to any threat. They had spent 25 years preparing specifically for this battle, and it showed in every engagement. The Krylaxian invasion force, which had arrived expecting an easy conquest, found itself fighting for survival. Ships that had subjugated 17 other civilizations were being systematically neutralized by vessels that seemed to ignore the traditional laws of physics. Maya watched through the fleet's shared neural interface as the battle unfolded exactly as their simulations had predicted. The Krylaxians were tactically excellent, but they were fighting with known techniques against an enemy that had spent decades preparing specifically for them. "Your empire's greatest mistake," she broadcast to the increasingly desperate alien fleet, "was giving us time to prepare. You thought you were being subtle, that we couldn't detect your long-range scans or decode your transmissions. Instead, you gave us the one thing we needed most: warning." Another wave of Earth ships emerged from the South Pacific, their liquid metal hulls gleaming in the sunlight. These were the newest vessels, incorporating technologies that had been theoretical when the first alien signals were detected. They moved like living things, their forms shifting to optimize for each tactical situation. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the greatest invasion fleet in Krylaxian history had been reduced to scattered remnants, its survivors transmitting desperate warnings back to their empire. But those warnings would arrive too late. Maya opened a channel to all Earth forces. Phase 1 is complete. Begin deployment of liberation forces. The Krylaxians thought they were coming to add another primitive species to their empire. Instead, they've given us the opportunity to free every world they've enslaved. As the last Krylaxian ships fled or surrendered, Earth's oceans continued to part, revealing more vessels. These were not warships but liberation fleets, prepared over decades to free the 17 species that had fallen to the Empire. Humanity had not just built defenses, they had prepared to reshape the galaxy itself. The age of hiding was over. Humanity had revealed its true strength, and the galaxy would never be the same. Echoes of thunder. The captured Krylaxian command ship hung in low Earth orbit, its once pristine hull bearing the marks of humanity's advanced weapons. Inside, Supreme Commander Krell sat in what had been his private quarters, now a comfortable but secure detention space. Across from him, Commander Maya Chen activated a holographic display showing Earth's underwater cities and shipyards. "You see, Commander Krell, humanity's greatest strength was never our technology," Maya explained, her voice carrying no trace of mockery. "It was our ability to unite and prepare in absolute secrecy. When we detected your empire's signals 25 years ago, Earth's nations faced a choice: compete with each other or work together in the shadows. The hologram shifted to show vast underwater complexes where ships were still being manufactured. We chose cooperation. Every nation contributed their best scientists, their greatest minds, their most closely held secrets. We built cities beneath the waves, turned the ocean's pressure from an obstacle into a shield. In high orbit, the remnants of the Krylaxian fleet were being systematically cataloged and studied by teams of human scientists. Each captured vessel revealed new insights into the Empire's technology, though much of it now seemed quaint compared to what humanity had developed in secret. "Your strategies were sound," Maya continued, noting how Krell's facial tendrils twitched of the compliment. "Against any normal opponent, they would have worked perfectly. But we spent 25 years studying every record of your conquests, developing countermeasures for every tactic. The ocean gave us the perfect cover to test and refine our technologies." Deep beneath the Atlantic, Dr. Sarah Harrison, now considerably older than when she first detected the alien signals, supervised the activation of another quantum entanglement array. The technology that allowed instant communication across any distance had been just one of countless breakthroughs born from humanity's desperate race to prepare. "The metamaterial hulls of our ships," Maya gestured to a passing Earth vessel outside the viewport, "developed by studying deep-sea creatures that manipulate their outer layers to survive extreme pressures. Our quantum targeting systems, refined in the darkness of the ocean trenches where traditional sensors were useless." Aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Leviathan, Admiral Hassan coordinated with liberation fleets preparing to jump to occupied worlds. The ships carried not just military force but hope, technologies and knowledge that would help free species who had lived under Krylaxian dominion for generations. "Your empire's greatest mistake," Maya said, standing to examine the view of Earth below, "was assuming that a water world was a limitation. You never considered that we might thrive in those conditions, that we would turn our oceans into the greatest shipyards and laboratories in known space." The hologram displayed classified footage from humanity's preparation years. Vast underwater assembly lines crafting quantum processors, scientists testing liquid metal hull configurations in abyssal pressures, engineers refining gravitational manipulation systems in the silence of the deep. "We didn't just build weapons," Maya explained. "We rebuilt our entire civilization. Those primitive satellites you monitored, each one contained sensors gathering data about your empire. Those failed space missions, they deployed a network of cloaked defensive platforms. Even our civilian technology was carefully crafted to appear decades behind our true capabilities. We didn't just build weapons," Maya explained. "We rebuilt our entire civilization. Those primitive satellites you monitored, each one contained sensors gathering data about your empire. Those failed space missions, they deployed a network of cloaked defensive platforms. Even our civilian technology was carefully crafted to appear decades behind our true capabilities." In the Indian Ocean, another fleet of liberation ships rose from hidden docks. Their crews were a mixture of humans and freed Krylaxian prisoners who had chosen to help end their empire's tyranny. The ships carried weapons, yes, but also medical technology, educational systems, and the tools needed to rebuild free societies. "Your empire conquered 17 species because they fought alone, each trying to defend themselves with visible strength," Maya continued. "We chose a different path. We hid our strength, let you think us weak, and prepared in ways you never imagined possible." The hologram showed scenes from across Earth's oceans, vast cities where millions lived and worked in secret agricultural complexes that fed the hidden population, educational centers where children grew up learning technologies that the rest of the galaxy thought impossible. "But our greatest achievement wasn't technological," Maya said, turning back to Krell. "It was maintaining the deception. Every human on Earth knew their role in the masquerade. Children were taught from birth about the importance of secrecy. Nations that had been enemies for centuries worked together in perfect harmony. In orbit, the first waves of liberation fleets engaged their drives, disappearing in flashes of light that defied traditional physics. They carried with them the promise of freedom and the most powerful weapons ever created, hope and knowledge. Now, Maya's voice carried the weight of history. We face our greatest challenge. Not conquest, not revenge, but liberation and reconstruction. Your empire ruled through fear and force. We intend to help build a galaxy based on cooperation and mutual advancement." The hologram displayed the 17 occupied worlds, each now surrounded by liberation fleets carrying the technologies and knowledge developed in Earth's oceans. The ships were crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for this mission, alongside allies from every species who had chosen to join humanity's cause. "The age of empire is over," Maya declared, not unkindly. "The age of cooperation begins, and it started in the most unlikely place, beneath the waves of a world your people dismissed as primitive." As if to emphasize her words, another fleet of ships rose from the Pacific, their liquid metal hulls gleaming with possibilities. They carried not just weapons but wisdom, not just power but promise. Humanity had emerged from the depths not as conquerors, but as liberators. The galaxy would never be the same, and it had all begun with a simple choice made 25 years ago: to wait, to prepare, and to rise when the moment was perfect. Dawn of the Deep. 1 year after Earth revealed its hidden might, the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The massive shipyards beneath Earth's oceans now produced vessels of peace and exploration alongside their military counterparts. Commander Maya Chen stood at her familiar viewport in Atlantis Prime, but instead of watching battle fleet construction, she observed teams of alien scientists and human engineers collaborating on new technologies. The quantum communication screen beside her displayed real-time updates from across former Krylaxian space. 17 liberated worlds were rebuilding, their societies transforming with the help of technologies developed in Earth's oceanic laboratories. But unlike the empire they replaced, humanity didn't impose their will. They offered choices. The Zentari have completed their first underwater research facility, reported Captain Wei, now serving as liaison to alien scientific delegations. They're adapting our pressure handling technologies to explore the liquid methane oceans on their outer colonies. Maya smiled, remembering how the avian Zentari had initially feared water before learning how humanity had turned it into their greatest advantage. Now they were among the most enthusiastic adopters of Earth's aquatic engineering principles. Deep beneath the Atlantic, the original quantum sensors that had detected the Krylaxian threat were being repurposed. Dr. Sarah Harrison, her hair now white, but her eyes still sharp, supervised their conversion into a galaxy-wide early warning network. But this time, the purpose wasn't to detect threats. It was to find other civilizations that might need help or want to join the growing alliance. The Krylaxian integration program is showing promising results, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, bringing up holographic statistics. Many former Empire citizens, especially younger ones, had chosen to help build the new galactic society. Their knowledge of their former Empire's worlds proved invaluable in the liberation effort. Supreme Commander Krell, now serving as an advisor to the Transition Council, had undergone his own transformation. After seeing how humanity had united in secret to defend not just themselves but other species, he became one of the strongest advocates for reform among his people. "We thought conquest was strength," he often told his fellow Krylaxians. "The humans showed us that true power lies in patience, cooperation, and the wisdom to hide your strength until it can be used to help others." The underwater cities that had been humanity's greatest secret became centers of interstellar cultural exchange. Alien delegations marveled at how humans had turned their planet's most challenging environment into their greatest advantage. Each visitor left with new ideas about how to adapt these principles to their own worlds. The Meridian League has approved the establishment of their first joint scientific council, Maya read from another report. The Alliance of Liberated Worlds was growing into something unprecedented, not an empire ruled by force, but a cooperative of species working together by choice. Earth's oceans still held their secrets, but now they were shared selectively with trusted allies. The vast manufacturing complexes that had produced the liberation fleets were being converted to create ships of exploration and discovery. The metamaterial fabrication plants now produced hulls for scientific vessels, designed to probe the galaxy's deepest mysteries. Long-range sensors are detecting signals from beyond former Empire space, Dr. Harrison announced during a council meeting. There are other civilizations out there, some possibly facing their own versions of the Krylaxians. The question is, do we reveal ourselves? The decision was made not by humans alone, but by the combined wisdom of all liberated species. Earth's strategy of hidden strength had worked once, but the galaxy was changing. Perhaps it was time for a new approach. Maya stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest vessel, the Explorer-class ship Promise. Unlike the warships that had emerged from Earth's oceans a year ago, this vessel was built for peaceful contact. Its liquid metal hull could reconfigure to appear less threatening. Its quantum systems were tuned for communication rather than combat. "All departments report ready," Captain Wei announced. The Promise's crew was a mixture of humans and members of various liberated species, each bringing their own perspectives and expertise to the mission. "Take us up," Maya ordered. The massive ship rose from its underwater berth, water streaming from its adaptive hull. But this emergence wasn't a surprise to the galaxy. It was a symbol of hope. As the Promise broke the surface, Maya reflected on how much had changed. Earth's oceans had protected humanity's secret preparation for war, but now they protected something far more precious, the combined knowledge and aspirations of multiple civilizations working together. The ship's quantum sensors detected a signal, faint but distinctive. Somewhere out there, another civilization was taking its first steps into space, perhaps worried about what they might find. This time, humanity wouldn't hide in the depths. They would extend a hand in friendship, sharing the wisdom earned through their long vigil beneath the waves. "Send to all ships," Maya commanded, her voice carrying to vessels crewed by beings from across the galaxy. Operation Deep Shadow is officially concluded. Begin Operation Rising Light. The Promise engaged its drives, preparing to make contact with new civilizations. But this time, Earth's fleet didn't rise from the oceans as a hidden weapon. They emerged as a beacon of hope, carrying the combined wisdom of multiple species and the promise of cooperation rather than conquest. In the depths of Earth's oceans, the great shipyards continued their work, but now they built vessels of peace alongside those of war, each ship a testament to humanity's greatest discovery. That true strength lies not in the ability to conquer, but in the wisdom to know when to hide, when to emerge, and when to extend a helping hand to others. The galaxy would never return to what it had been, and that was precisely the point. From the depths of Earth's oceans had risen not just a fleet, but a new way of thinking about civilization itself. The waters that had hidden humanity's greatest secret now cradled the hopes of countless species, all working together to build something greater than any empire. Dawn had broken over the galaxy, and it had risen from the deep.